Idioms, they're so difficult to come up with, especially initially in metaphors of movement. So I put together this little video that I did post my main metaphors and movement levels 1 and 2 course for the people who were on the course to practice idioms and to think about other ways of looking at it, which make the idiomization process and getting your brain into gear with this side of thing a lot easier. So check out the video and let me know what you think. I've given you a base description and we can think about this in different ways. So the first thing we can do when we look at doing idioms is we can look at directions. Really simple, really easy. We did this on day 1. Okay? So what you look forward to, what's right for you, what's left for you, what's in the background, what's behind you. Nice, simple, easy. So the second one we can come to is qualities. Cool. So let's just give it a whirl. So if we say the wall that's in front, how could we mix direction and qualities? Let's just imagine it's a brick wall. What could we say from an idiomatic perspective regarding what's in front of you?
It is a full stop. No.
Yeah, I would agree. That's a description. It is a full stop. I like that. Anything else?
Something in front of you solid.
Yeah, exactly. Nice.
Um,
Oh,
you're up against a brick wall, or you're looking at a brick wall.
you're looking at a brick wall because you're not up against it. If the wall was
No.
here, they'd be up against it. Or if the wall was there, they'd be up against it. But nice.
Yeah.
Let's look at qualities of a forest to the left. What could you say regarding qualities of the left?
What's left to you is natural.
Yeah.
What's left to you is growth.
Growing. Yeah, cool. There is growth, or because you can do it either. You can say what's left for you is growing, or what's left for you is growth, or there is growth left for you. So you
Yeah,
grab that.
yeah.
Any more, Pete? I think I've got a whole. Yeah, go for it.
Left
Well,
with- It's like when I start getting one, it's like a cat. My brain is like your left can't see the forest from the trees or something. It's like a cat really grasp onto they don't come like clearly
totally.
the metaphors don't come readily packaged.
It does take.
How?
It takes practice, and this is why we're
Yeah.
breaking it down, right? Because you see, there's like standard idioms. Like if somebody's in the middle of a forest and there's trees all around, you could say it's like you can't see the wood from the trees. You could use that, right? And for example, the one you said in front of you, like there are certain idiomatic expressions that just come to us, and there are some that we can have a bit more of a methodology behind to give us a bit of help. I've done a whole video on like forests and vegetation. Because if you think they're natural, they're growing, they're a whole ecosystem. There's a variety of things that are left for you. The things that are left for you interact with each other. Like there could be a whole host of things, right?
And you choose them based off the other things around you and knowledge of the client. Like you have so many options to go with, how where you just choose one kind of thing.
I mean, I could choose one. I could choose more than one. I mean, normally it's whatever comes to me in the moment when I'm going through it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but I did a whole brain dump. So I'm like, forests all the time. There's always a frigging forest. So or like trees. Okay. So I mean, trees host things. They grow. Like if it's evergreen. Charlotte had a metaphor. Was it Charlotte? No, I was working with a client the other day. I did a video, and she's in the middle of a forest, but she's in an evergreen forest. So she's in the middle of something, and we talk about evergreen businesses, stuff like that, like considerations. Cool. What descriptions? We have a couple, let's say a man and a woman to the left, to the right, sorry. description.
What's right for you? Oh, is it what does that say? Oh, just man and
Woman, yeah.
yeah. So what's right for you is company.
Yeah.
Yeah, trying to think of people, but like family or that kind of thing. We don't know who they are though, do we? So
But what do we know about what are the qualities of a man and a woman relative to each other?
Opposites.
Okay. So what could you say that that's a quality?
Your right is
what
opposite you. No.
There are two things right that are a bit opposite. There's a couple of things right for you. What else do we know about people? They are what? People are humans. So there's two things that are pretty human that are right for you.
right, yeah.
So we can start to think about these generalized qualities, and some will be harder than others. Cool. People, yeah, they have a life of their own. Cool. Behind, we've got a cliff. So what do we know about the qualities of a cliff?
Cliff, the edge. But what's behind you is a cliff edge.
Yeah.
Um, sheer drop.
Yeah.
So,
Dangerous. What's behind you is dangerous.
Could be dangerous.
Could be.
I
Yeah.
like the flavor.
it's a long fall.
It looks like there's a long way down. Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah. I agree. Nice.
What's
Cool.
behind you looks unsafe, dangerous.
What's behind you? No, yeah, that's good. No, I like it. So those are a few ways. Now, anything like in theory, anything that would come up in metaphor, we can describe. Now, the vast majority of things, if they say a cliff, most cliffs are pretty sheer, right? So you can make certain assumptions. If they say it's a dense forest, that changes the qualities. So it could be like what's right is pretty dense, pretty hard to get through what's right if right was that's left. But yeah, cool. So qualities are one step we can take. The next thing we can do, similarly to our relational positions, we can look at the relationship to, like the situational relational positioning. So, for example, we know walls represent rules in metaphor. Now, I wouldn't say you put the rules first because they don't know a wall is a rule. We know that, but they don't. So, if anything, you put this blockage first. Or similarly, like there are two people that are right to you, but relative to them, you're left to one side. So we can look at how we relate to stuff. There's a lot of things that are natural that are left for you, and you're right about that. You're right, and it could be said that you've left things that are natural to one side.
That's a good one.
So we can start to look at the relationships one way and the other. Cool. I know there's a lot more in the relationship section, but that's just a thing to consider, not just how you relate to it, how it relates to you. Cool. Next, we can think about support and understanding. So if we think about, I'm standing on grass. So what can we say about that grass, my support and my understanding?
Soft.
Soft, yeah.
Natural
Yeah. So that's my support and understanding. But what can we say maybe about the wall's support and understanding? We don't
foundation.
necessarily know, but we could say realistically what you could. So we could talk about possibility or maybe, or I don't know if. What do walls normally have to keep them up?
Foundation.
Cool. So you could say, I don't know what you look if what you look forward to has solid foundations. I don't know what's blocking you as a certain support that keeps it where it is. If you look at forest, what's supporting a forest?
The root.
Roots.
Roots. So what can we say around that?
The roots go far and wide.
Hmm.
Well connected roots.
The root. So okay, put that with the direction.
So
Put that with
what's to the left of you is well connected.
could be said because we don't know. So it could be said it is well rooted and well
Well rooted.
connected.
Yeah.
How do you put that together with the left? What's left for
Well, so
you
yeah, yeah,
could be well rooted.
yeah. What's
Could
left
have
for you
good
could be
foundation.
well rooted. The thing about it is we don't need to describe what well rooted means. We know if something is well rooted, normally it's got a good foundation, but it's a more natural, like okay, it's pretty natural and it's also well rooted. Cool. How about let's say the man and the woman are on grass as well. Actually, let's say they're on concrete. Concrete's a good one. The man and woman are on concrete. What could we say about their support and understanding?
Their support is unnatural.
I like that.
Their support is solid, is on solid ground.
This is what's also interesting because unnatural seems like it doesn't really make sense, but also it is natural, but it is solid.
How does that relate though with you have to always go back to the on the right, reference it with the right, right?
But you could say, I mean, the couple of people that are right for you, or the couple of people that you made right, or the couple of people that you see as right. I mean, they've got a pretty concrete understanding of where they're at. They've got solid support. Now, yours is pretty natural. Theirs is manufactured, but you both have a different platform. You have a more natural understanding. They have a more industrial understanding.
Mm.
What about support in the background?
There isn't much support there at all. There's no
No,
support.
there's no support. So if you're to go back, you won't have any support. You won't have any understanding, and it will be a big letdown. Cool.
That's
Yeah,
quite a true
you're
statement.
off in relation to sure.
I was just saying what Dale had just said there is quite a true statement that you could use in lots of ways for lots of situations.
Exactly. What were you saying, Pete?
In relation to what's behind you, you're up. You're up. You're high. So how do you're up higher.
You're elevated.
You're elevated in relation to what's behind you.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. So it
You're
could be
above it all.
you're above it all.
Yeah.
Well, not that's not true. But what are
Above
you
is
above?
behind you.
You're above everything that's in the background. You're above everything that's behind you. So really nice flavor. You're starting to get it more and more because the stuff in the environment you're not above. Cool. Next, five. One of my favorites. What could or would happen if you were to take a step to the right, the left, the front, or the back? What could or would happen? What can you assume or presuppose if they're going to take a step? So let's say forward. What could or would happen if you were to take a step forward or if you were to progress?
If you were to progress, you come closer to your obstacles.
Yeah,
You'd face your obstacle.
yeah. You face your obstacle more directly. You'd face your obstacle more head on. Don't know if it would help, but you would. Yeah, nice.
If you take a step forward, you'll hit a brick wall.
Yeah. Don't know if they will,
Or
but you said you
could.
could because we don't know the distance. Yeah. Also, if they
Oh,
do progress in this, they might not be able to see a way around it.
mm,
So these are the considerations. And this is where I make the case that it's not always good to progress. Sometimes you might want to do the right thing or explore what's left before you progress. If we could or would go closer to what's right.
It would bring you closer to humanity.
I think that's fair to say. I like that. You could also say it would bring you closer to things. It would allow you potentially to be a bit more connected. But also, your support might change. You might not have as natural an understanding if you would explore what's to the right, because you might end up on the concrete. How about left? What could or would happen if you were to explore what's left?
if you take a step to the left, um, you'll be closer to nature. What's more natural to you?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
My moving left might freshen things up.
Bit of an interpretation, but I think that's fair. I would say, yeah, could or you said might. I like, yeah.
You could say what's on the your left, bring you closer to your roots.
Wouldn't say your roots, but I like it closer to the roots of this, maybe. If it doesn't fit 100%, like by going left, you'd be closer to your roots. You could put the preface in, I don't know if going left would take you closer to your roots.
Uh-huh.
Because it's sort of a bit grey, they can accept or reject. If it 100% fits and it's relevant, you can just go for it. But if there's a bit grey, I don't know if. What happens if you were to go too far left?
Oh yeah. Might get a lot. You might not see the trees from
Yeah, you might not be able to see the woods from the trees. You might get
from the
lost in
windshield.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You might find yourself without direction with no clear path because there's no specific path. So these are some of the things. So you don't just have to consider what's close, but also further away. What would happen if they were to do that? What could we presuppose or guess would be the case? Might not be, because sometimes you take steps in metaphor and everything changes. but that based on this experience. How about going back?
If you take a step back, it could be unsafe.
Yeah,
You might have a big fall. You might fall from grace.
not in grace. I like it. Could be a fall, could be a letdown, come back down to earth, could kill you, stuff like that. Nice. Next one. So I want to put senses. We've done a few of these. But if we just consider what we see, hear, smell, taste, and touch possibly within the metaphor, that's another potential. They're not always going to be relevant. But if we think what's in front,
You're looking at a brick wall.
Yeah, you're looking at a brick wall. You can only see so far. Something's blocking your vision. Depending on space, what you look forward to is also out of your reach currently, or you're not quite touching what's in front of you. Sound is a really weird one. You don't get that unless someone references it normally.
Isn't there a saying about something about sound, silence? Walls can't hear, or something, or if only the walls could hear, or anyway, just thinking about that.
Yeah, there is. I mean, that could be a potential.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking of something.
But yeah, but normally auditory just doesn't come in that much.
Yeah,
But we can
yeah.
think about what this person sees and can physically experience, but they might reference there's sounds like there's birds tweeting. Ah, okay, cool. Then you've got a bit of a reference. Cool. So we can think about what we see, what we touch. If we go there, we might. What could it be like kinesthetically if we were to explore what's left? What could happen?
What's on your left could feel quite woody.
It could feel quite woody. You got wood go left, but also you might find yourself having to push through it, having to move things out the way if you were to explore what's left. Cool. You can't see any support. You can't see any way black. If you were to go black, it might be a bit of a stumble, a bit of a clamble, a bit of a climb, or a bit of a decline. Cool. So we can think about the senses, not as many here. And the last one, which seems a bit strange, is what it's not. So we can use idioms to define what it is, but also what it's not.
What's in front of you isn't an open door.
Yeah, and it may sound so weird, but it's like it isn't. You're right. Cool. I mean, I wouldn't go crazy weird with it. Like, what's in front of you is not a giraffe. But but the back to those things. So if we look at a man and a woman, so what is that not? Assuming genders and sexual
Not the
preference have
same.
been assigned correctly. What's right is
Right isn't it, what's right for you is not the same.
exactly. There are two things that are right for you and they're not the same. What's right for you isn't supported in the same way as where you're at right now. What is the forest not? Or Charlotte?
Not a clear path. What's to the left of you isn't a clear path.
Yeah, paths are a good one because there's normally paths. It's like, well, there's no clear paths here. There's not a clear path in sight. There's no real clear direction that has been created beforehand. Anything else? What's a forest and not anymore?
Whereas isn't civil what's left to you is not civilized.
Ooh, Never thought of that angle. Yeah,
It's
someone
not
said that.
civilization. So,
It's pretty wild what's left. It could be said.
oh, yeah.
Who's calling me? One sec. Hello? Spam. Cool. And what's the background not?
Elevated.
That's true.
Not safe.
Not safe, not supportive, not something you'd look up to. It's also not something you look forward to. What's behind you is not something you look forward to. What's right for
Yeah.
you is not left for you. What's left for you is not right for you. What's in front of you is not behind you. Sometimes it might be, you see. So you can always play about those. Cool. So can you see how those 7 different ones can be a useful way to start to, if you're like, oh, what the hell is that? How do I start idiomizing? We're going to think, okay, direction, qualities, relationships, all of those different things.
Uh-huh.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what we're going
Great.
to do is we're going to get you two to elicit a metaphor from each other. We might have time for one, maybe two. And you're going to elicit your work with metaphors of movement, your actual application of it. Because, yeah, you have no time. It's very short. I get that. But I
Well,
want
I
to get
have one. Can I do one that I never got to idiomize? Nobody
okay. In
idiomized.
that case, let's do that, and maybe I'll give
Yeah.
it for you for I'll give it for you for homework for next time because it's been very short. You can do that. So
So I
okay,
never got to itemize this one. So maybe you can do this, Charlotte, for me. So I'm in a hall.
Oh yeah, yeah.
what's to your
Was this
left?
one of the first ones you did, wasn't it?
Yeah, but no, there was no idiomizing of it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, no,
What's to
no.
your left?
Yeah. So what's in front of me? I'm in the hole. What's in front of me is an unexploded bomb, World War One bomb.
Is the bomb facing you? Is it horizontal? How?
Facing me. It's facing me.
Okay, so you've got a bomb.
I'm in the hole with my
Okay, yeah,
shovel.
I'll draw the hole shortly. So there's a World War I bomb.
Yeah.
Okay, what's to your right?
To my right is an old ladder.
Is it on the floor? Is it on against a wall? Where is it?
It's going up to the top of the hole. The hole is outside my in the garden of
Cool. Okay, cool. What's to your? That was right. What's your left?
to my left there's old bones and like what are they called? Fossils. Yeah, fossils with spirals, those.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're
I've
different
got
fossils.
bones and fossils. Yeah. What's behind you?
There's like worms, big worms.
How big is big?
Well, like snakes, worms, or slow.
Well, kind of exaggerated worms. Maybe like bigger than normal. Like yeah, like half the size of a human.
Pretty fucking big worm. Oh, big worms. And you say you're standing there holding a shovel.
Yeah,
And what hand is the shovel in?
right hand.
What's
But you're
up?
actually in the hole. Yeah.
I'm in the hole, yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'll draw the hole. So, and then you got a hole there. And what are you standing on?
Mud.
We didn't cover the mud thing on Sunday, did we? The shame.
Not so much. Yeah, we can cover that like nearer the end, and I'll make sure I do a video on that. Cool. So does that look about right to you, Pete? So
Yeah, the
you,
ladder is going up
yeah,
into
it's
like
going up to the surface.
up to the surface, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, cool. So that's why I sort of put it there. So
Okay,
this is the
cool, yeah.
wall. And there's the dirt wall. Dirt, 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 dirt. Okay, cool. So Charlotte can give it a whirl. I'll write them up. So we've got directions, which we know. We've got qualities. If you want to clarify or ask any more questions while I'm writing this up, Charlotte, go for it.
Yeah, sure. So in front of you is the is the bomb, and then behind that is the mud wall. Is that right?
Well, there's all sides is I'm in a hole. I'm
Yeah,
digging
yeah.
quite a big hole. Um, yeah.
And you've got
Like I have space. I have space in the hole. It's not like I do have space there. And I can't, even with my hand, touch either side, any of the wall from
uh,
where I am. So it's that big.
and what's above you?
Above me is the sky and some clouds and some sunlight.
Uh-huh. And are you in the process of digging? You know,
Hmm?
digging down,
I'm just looking, I think.
just looking. So had you, I don't know if it matters, dug the hole, but um,
I think I'm digging the hole. Yeah, I'm definitely digging the hole. I have been digging it. Taking a break.
um, so what's in front of you could be explosive. Um, what you're looking forward to could be explosive. And then to the left of you, I can't see the picture because
Bones and fossils.
what's been left behind is bones and fossils. And what's to the right of you is a route down.
No, the ladder goes up.
Ah, okay,
It goes to the surface.
right.
You are right, Charlotte. Even though he's all like, because it is a route down, but it's also a route up,
Up,
right? So
yeah.
it is correct, even if he's arguing it,
Okay, yeah,
because
yeah.
it matches the metaphor, right?
Uh-huh, uh-huh. And what was behind? Oh,
Big
big
worms.
worm. Um, and what's behind you could seem quite natural if inflated. Um, oh, there's so much about worms, isn't it? How good they are for the earth and what they do and things like that. So what's left behind is very good for the environment. Um,
Now, see, that could be okay. So sometimes you can talk about qualities with. So I would say it needs to be expressed in a way that the other person really knows. I wouldn't go into it too much,
okay.
if you can, because then what we're doing is we're inputting meaning. But for example, I could say now, World War One bombs, we don't know if they're still active, if they're inactive, and it can be quite hard to tell. That's almost like a fact of life that I think most people will know about World War One bombs. So I think it's fine for me to make that assessment because I'm not saying it one way. Whereas I've never heard of earthworms being good for the world. They could be, and I'm not arguing that they're not, but I'm not sure if that's a global understanding bit of information.
Okay.
Cool. Any
Now you
idioms
So,
coming?
know.
Yeah, exactly. Any idioms coming to you, Pete?
Um, what's left of what's left of you are relics of the past.
Yeah.
Your the past. No, no. The past is looking right at you.
The
No.
trouble is, this isn't the past.
Okay. Right.
And also, bones and fossils don't have eyes, so that makes it a lot harder.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Jumping many conclusions there.
So
What's
let's
to the left? Sorry.
no, go
What
for it.
what what's to the left of you is not new.
And then that sounds good, and then you can even just say the same thing but reversed. So what's left for you is not new. It's not new what's left for you.
Mhm. What's in front of you um, isn't easy to diffuse.
Now the challenge I have with your statement is it sounds factual. So how could you
Yeah.
make it fluffier? I don't know if give it a whirl.
I don't know if what's in front of you is easy to diffuse.
Or could laugh at a moment's notice.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you can play with both.
What's in front of you needs to be treated with deep care.
Mm. Yeah, or you need to be cautious around what's in front of you.
Yeah.
What I find funny is Pete's been digging this hole right. Is the bomb fully uncovered, or is it still covered in mud and stuff?
No, it's just kind of not fully uncovered. No, like no, just
Okay. So
in there.
Pete noticed the bomb and kept digging, you know? It's like, oh, not
Oh, I
exploded
don't
bomb.
know.
Don't you worry, just keep that.
Well, I would draw that conclusion. Like I'm standing there looking at in front of it with my shovel. I'm looking straight at it. Obviously, I've come like, oh shit, something is up.
So you've just noticed it. Okay.
I've stopped digging and I'm looking at it. It's
Okay, so you've just uncovered something explosive
yeah, yeah.
that's not yours.
Yes. Ooh, that's close to. That's very close to reality.
Probably a bit foreign, this thing.
Yeah.
And it's historic. We also we're gonna next
Mm,
week we're gonna talk about containers. So we'll focus on container idiomization a little bit later. Just so
yeah.
you've got a
Okay.
few around that.
Because we've also got the attachment, haven't we, with the spade?
Is it an attachment or is it something else?
We're carrying a burden, sorry, a
Yeah,
burden.
yeah, cool. Yeah, it's a burden.
So would we deal with the burden in this or we wait for that another?
Cool. So if we were to go through the well, here's a question. What do you think we would do first? Would we grow them up first, or would we do where you're taking it to first?
Where are you taking it to? Okay.
Cool.
Oh, no, 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 no. You would do the growing up first and then where you're taking it to.
Because
Um, well, because if you're saying that they're like in a child state because of the container, um, then I've got it all in my head. It's trying to articulate it.
you're
So,
doing great.
so with the container, it's usually things that have been passed. So you're treating them as if they're a child because that how they're seeing it is like a child. So that's why you're asking them to grow up.
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily come from that frame. Looking at it metaphorically, I can say where they're taking it to, but they're stuck in a box. So it's going to be harder for them to potentially
Oh,
pace it. Whereas if they've grown up and grow out of it, then they can take it somewhere.
I was looking too deep, wasn't I? But there,
As deep as Pete, who knows?
Uh, what were you digging for?
What? Can you ask that?
No, no, it doesn't. No, it's just
Okay,
a
okay.
statement thing.
Not following the metaphors of movement process, but I don't think there's anything wrong with posing those kind of questions if you're doing it in a therapy. What are you digging? What are you digging for?
Yeah,
Because
because it's a
if
big hole.
yeah, it's a big hole. Now we know this is a container, so he was born into this. I mean, he may have been born into it, and he wanted to dig deeper, knowing more about his family and da 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 da. So he might have made it worse. I don't know. But the point is, you could ask him what's he digging for, because I think it's fair. If you think about obstructions, let's say there's a wall, some people like to get to the bottom of things to get out. But yeah, what is his goal in digging? Because sometimes people,
Exploring.
they pick,
I'm just exploring.
it's exploring.
Why wouldn't you explore? Look at all
Well,
the interesting things I found.
it's better to explore by yourself with the worms than experience the rest of the world, you know?
Uh-huh.
Cool. So let's do what would happen if you maybe went right, left, front, back, different direction? What would or could happen if you were to?
If you went forward, you could potentially step on something that's explosive.
Hmm.
If you went right, you can go up or down.
Yeah. So if you were to go right, you could get out of this. If you were to take a step in the right direction, you could climb out of this. You could
Hmm.
clamber out, you could take steps. There's a run of things you could do to elevate yourself and get over this. What's right has got the support that could get you out of this.
Yeah.
But similarly, this has been a lifelong experience for Pete because we know it's been a container. And up until now, he's still refused to take the ladder, even though it's been there. So, as much as we could say those things, he never does the right thing.
So what's to the right of you could be seen as an easier option
How so?
because you can get out by using the ladder out of the hole.
Also, look at Pete's face. He's a bit confused by that. He's like, what? Well, realistically, he's just standing there with a shovel. Here, he'd actually have to take steps and then use his arms and his legs. He'd have to handle different things to clamber out. Right now, he's just standing there with a shovel.
Yeah, who said it's bad to be there?
I
She didn't
didn't
say
say
bad. She
anything
didn't say. She said it was easier to do what's right. But this is the thing:
Oh,
it's not
oh.
necessarily easier.
about.
And like ease is a very subjective thing. If
Mhm.
Pete was a window cleaner, climbing a ladder could be easy. Who knows? But this is the thing: ease is a subjective experience.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah.
So if you were to dig into what's right, you might find something more historical. You might find something for the past. Qualities of fossils normally they're pretty historic. There's a certain pressure that created what's left. Maybe there's also things that used to be alive that are no longer alive, and you've just got the remains of what's left.
Mhm.
I like you said what's in the background is inflated. I don't know if it is inflated, but you could say blown out of proportion, bigger than
Yeah,
normal.
yeah. I mean, worms are slow as well. I don't know whether.
Worms are quite slow
Mm.
as well. Is that as well as Pete? Or just
No, as well as the fact that they're big. So that's what I meant.
very cool. So let's just jump to what it's not. So what is this situation not?
It's not a safe situation.
See, Pete's not sure because in his inaction, he's quite safe because he's not doing
Yeah.
anything. It's like, well, I mean, as long as I do nothing, I am safe.
Yes. Yeah, it is safe.
Well,
Like the bomb will go off if I don't go near it. So
Cool. But also, he's not outside. People can't see him, right? So actually, for him, it's safer for him inside than it is outside, even though what's inside could potentially blow him to smithereens. It's safer inside for him than it is outside. This is why people don't grow up, because to grow up and grow out of those things put them at potential risk to the world. So, like, definitely safe. Do you want to do the strange road with Pete, Charlotte?
okay. So you and I are walking along
We need
strange.
to know, we need to know how he deals with this first, because that's the punchline.
Oh, all right, yeah. So how do you deal with this situation?
In real life.
Oh, sorry, in real life.
I just say, oh, I will find something. I mean, if I keep doing it, if I keep digging, I'll find something, something worthwhile.
Do you say that? Do you say that to yourself in real life?
No, well, I'm just trying to, I, I don't
In
know what
real
I
life,
think.
Pete, in real life, what do you do in this situation? In real life.
Real, in real life, I put my hands to my head. I'm just saying, what the fuck am I doing?
Cool. So off you go, Charlotte.
So you and I are walking along a strange road and we see somebody standing in a hole with a spade in their right hand. And in front of them is a World War II unexploded bomb. To the left of them are bones and fossils. Behind them are big worms. And to the right of them is a ladder that's going up to the surface. What do you say to them?
This is when you say, "Don't worry, we know how to deal with this, sir." Just
Put,
put your hands on your head and say, "What the fuck am I doing?" Okay, so Charlotte, don't worry. Good,
don't worry. Put hands on your head and say, what the fuck am I doing?
good advice.
Is that good advice?
No, no.
Any better advice?
Any better
Um,
advice?
just come out of there.
How will you come out?
Just, just put the shovel down. Leave it. It doesn't need you, and come out of there.
Cool. Now, what's interesting is if you notice Pete's response, do you believe him?
He's
No,
hesitant. So no. Yeah.
I know. He's like the point is right. We know people don't want to put down burdens because that would be irresponsible. But also, there's a high chance what I find when I ask people what they would do, most of the time they've already tried that. He's already tried to just drop it and come out of it. He's
Mm,
tried, and that has
mm,
failed. So sometimes even the advice we give also doesn't work.
mhm.
So you want me to grow him up, Charlotte, or do you want to give it a whirl?
I'll give it a whirl. So just got to be a bit more assertive, isn't it? The wording. Oh yeah, you're going to send us the wording, weren't you, for it?
The wording's in the
Okay,
manual. It's
okay.
only if he grows up and becomes a giant I need to ping across.
Oh, okay. Okay, sorry. Um, so none of this is your fault. Now I want you to grow up. Just grow up.
Up, up,
Up,
up.
up, up.
Okay, cool. So Pete, right now, he was just like, yeah, right. Okay, and he was a bit confused, right? So the key aspect is obviously client sessions might be slightly different. He is not associated into the metaphor,
Okay.
so we need to reassociate him. So I say, Pete, just close your eyes. Now imagine you're there and just re-describe the metaphor because you want him to be associated into it.
Okay. So I can't see whether you got your eyes closed or not, but
Yeah,
so
go ahead.
yeah. So Pete, you got your eyes closed. You're standing in a hole and you're holding a shovel in your right hand, and in front of you is World War II unexploded bomb. To the left of you are bones and fossils. Behind you are big worms. And to the right of you is a ladder. And you're standing on mud. And you've got sky above you. Now, none of this is your fault. I want you to grow up, 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 up.
Start growing, keep growing, and tell me what you notice.
Start growing, keep growing, and tell me what you notice.
Got my foot stuck in this little hole, and I'm I'm like I'm out of it, but my foot is still stuck in it.
Keep growing, and what happens?
Keep growing, and what happens?
I'll slip it out.
That's good.
And how does that change things?
And how does that change things?
Hmm. I'm not really. I don't have any. I've forgotten about what that hole was about. Why it was there. Just get on with things.
That's good.
Thank
How big are you?
I'm like towering over the city, Waterford
Cool.
City.
So in this instance, I'll go for it again. So if he's huge, because the point is he also doesn't say he's huge, which is interesting. Some people will say it, some people won't. But if he's huge, you'd be like, okay, cool. Well, I mean, sometimes when people do grow up and grow out of these things, I remember when I first grew out of this thing, I was like this huge monster, this giant. And I mean, that can quite be quite big, quite intimidating, and also it's a little bit out of this world, you know? So, a bit fantastical. So, what I invite people to do is I'm not going to be someone to bring you down to size. I don't do that. But I'd like you to just close your eyes and find a size that is more amiable for you in this situation. And once you get to that size, tell me what you notice.
Bees, bees around me.
And what happens.
Um, calm. I'm calm.
And how does that change things?
Mm, I'm not in a hole.
Hmm. Now, what I would do is I would idiomize that. Okay, cool. So it sounds like something new has started. Things are buzzing around, it might seem. And I find that when we let these ideas pollinate, things can really flower and grow in a different way. But I would just pinch that from the bees.
Oh.
Nice.
Well, I hope you got a lot of learnings out of this video. As always, if you like this, do like, subscribe, and as always, keep taking steps.